Hello everyone. FNCS this season has been tightly contested across all regions, but especially in the top 2 regions there are so many viable candidates for winners. I thought I'd make a video on who I think has what it takes to win FNCS on their respective regions and why. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more Fortnite analysis videos like this one, like the video, subscribe and stay tuned for more. Let's get into it. NA East has a good variety of teams that could come from nowhere and win, but it was pretty unanimous across Twitter that the same 3 teams came up time and time again when asked the same question. Clicks, Booger and Bizzle, Centered, Edgy and Commandment, and Canada, Bucky and Macwood. All 4 of these trios have the same thing in common, a loud, vocal and commanding IGL who has the versatility to direct play from both height, mid-ground and then low ground if necessary. He's surrounded by 2 mechanical demons. However, these support players on all of these teams are all interchangeable between roles, and that is a main reason to me on why they're separated from the rest of the pack. Booger, Clicks and Bizzle has been one of my favourite stories of the season, with Bizzle leading this trio to an extremely dominant Week 1 performance, which was backed up by their Heat performances that came first in Heat A. Clicks' newfound ability to focus up and put competitive performance over entertainment recently has been amazing and is really shown in his results. Booger is no slouch either in the brain department, as they all bounce ideas and comms off each other nicely. This team is definitely a top contender for me, but it's not my number 1. Another contender was Centered, Commandment and Engie, the best low ground team in the game. These guys rely on the low ground space control dominant style that Centered has pioneered and then perfected over the last few seasons. The amount of scrims run in NA East, combined with stacked cash cups and opening rounds, means that he's been able to literally perfect this style of gameplay, and with kills being worth 2 points, picking a team who plays low ground where kills are plentiful seems like a really good option. Although Centered is my boy, I actually ended up sticking with my original decision from the start of the season, Bucky, Canada and Macwood. The reasons are fully laid out in the video I did on them, but for a short summary, I believe that the way Macwood leads his teams and in the ability of the other 2 to get whatever the other job needs doing, done. There is no shortage of talent on any of these teams, and if you ask tomorrow, I'd probably say Centered will win, and then change my mind a day later to Bizzle's team. So if anything, it just goes to show that there is so much talent around out there at the moment, and that's really cool for the future of the competitive scene. Quick honourable mentions go to the former champions Reverse 2K, Miro and Day, the most dominant mid-ground team in the region. It was hard to go against the fragging power of the best controller duo in the world, but ultimately this decision for a top 3 was just too hard to make. The same can be said for Acorn, Slacks and Jark, and Zate, Saf and Stretch. EU was a bit easier for me to choose a top 3, but then choosing between these top 3 for a favourite was nearly impossible. Ultimately, it came down to Hen, Chapix and Janice, Savage, Eyedrop and Tayson, and Thomas HD, Flick and Anas. This top 3 is incredibly hard to choose from, as I believe a lot of them play fairly similar. Look to take height at half-half, and if they can't do that, play mid-ground and frag out. However, it is really difficult to look past the unreal performance of Thomas, Flick and Anas on the weekend, as they dismantled one of the strongest heats in EU, making their way to an average placement of 3.83 with an average elim count of 11.33. This came on the back of a 17 kill win, a 13 kill win, and a 26 kill second. This amount of kills in a lobby that had the likes of Benji Fishy, Steelix, Indretta, and Andalix in it is just unbelievable. Another thing that makes them hard to turn away from is Thomas's sniping. This may seem like a weird thing to say, but in a final situation, having a god tier sniper like Thomas on your team is so useful for surge tags, and if Thomas is able to catch fire with a couple of snipes a game, we could be looking at a team that has surge early and is able to play deadside or something similar in an EU lobby, which is extremely powerful. EU's lack of practice means that they tend to distribute in weird ways mid-game, and sorting Surge early could be a huge way that these guys constantly are there in in-game with good mids and mats. One last dark horse I'd be looking out for in EU are Seti, Cammy and Teak, an incredible mid-ground team who always seem to make those last little important bits of placement that help push them over the edge. OCE is my home region, and my choice hasn't wavered from the start of the season. Muzz, Luda and Speedy are my favourites, and I believe they'll make a statement in finals about who the best team is in the region. It isn't a secret that they're my favourite team, and even if I took the power affiliation out, I'd probably still lean their way. Speedy is a tier 1 IGL who has a great sense of surge planning, how to path late game, and when to make decisions at crucial moments. After some surge struggles last season, he's put the time in this season to make this is all the case. Muzz and Luda are cracked out mech demons who can kill anyone in the region. However, I think it's the reason that they're my favourite is Luda's ability to float between roles, something that I think is really underrated about him as a player generally. He can take over from tarping and do the level a tier 1 tarper can. He can frag at tier 1, support at tier 1, even IGL at tier 1. Whatever is needed from the team at the time. This ability to float between roles and do it well is why I believe they're the favourites, as the rest of the region catches up with the interchangeability meta. The other two teams I considered for first were Sync, Sorrif and Volks, and Jinx, Worthy and Alec. Both of these teams are about as close as it gets to similar composition to Muzz, Speedy and Luda, and it was really tough to go against the 3-time FNCS champion Jinx. But in the long run, I believe in Speedy's mid-game more than the others, and across 12 games that is such an important point. One other dark horse team I would watch out for is Jace, Basil and Vortex, who I would consider a top 5 mid-ground team in the world at the moment. I'll quickly race through the other regions I pay attention to and give some quick thoughts. For NA West, I think Wavy, Jacob, Fabs and Jay have it on lock. Their week 1 performance was unreal, and I don't think they'll win by that in a similar margin, but it's hard to deny them when they were seen to play across that many playstyles and have the fragging power that they do. For Brazil, I would put large amounts of money on Frosty taking it yet again. Frosty's trio hasn't changed, they're the champs from last season, and they're playing just as well from the stats that I've seen. I'd love to give some thoughts on Middle East and Asia, but I feel like I'd put my foot in my mouth and say some shit that's really dumb. In my opinion, I think the Middle Eastern team of Phantom, Kuki and Nile are a team to look out for. They dropped a 31 kill game in qualifiers for the content and averaged 11 kills in their heat games. Other teams of note for me personally, just from what I've seen, are QNDX Unit and Nijbi? Sure, I'm not too sure how to say that name, sorry. And Modus, Siriano, and Kai. These guys have been dominant all the way through. Like, they've been dominant for ages now, and it's pretty hard to turn against them. And in Asia, I'll be watching out for FaZe's trio, who won 3 games in Heat C on their cruise to victory. And then, of course, it's hard to pass over Sinnoh and Envy's trio as well. So let me know in the comments what you think. Subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.